Have you ever wondered why, just when you are about to reach the pinnacle of your dreams, life seems to push you further into darkness, leaving you gasping for air as the storm rages around you? It's a question that haunts countless believers, a question that echoes through the corridors of hearts weighed down by despair. Why does God allow the storm before the miracle? This is not merely a rhetorical question. It is a divine principle, written throughout Scripture and lived out in the stories of those who walked before us, those who endured trials so profound that surrender seemed inevitable, yet discovered that the very storm they feared was the bridge to their breakthrough. Picture Joseph, a young man with dreams that spoke of destiny and favor, betrayed by those closest to him, thrown into a pit, and eventually sold into slavery. To the human eye, there was nothing but hopelessness, injustice, and despair. And yet, every moment of that pit, every sleepless night, every humiliation, was not punishment, but preparation, not rejection, but positioning. God does not abandon His children. He orchestrates circumstances with perfect timing, weaving trials into the tapestry of triumph, often in ways we cannot immediately understand. What is remarkable about this pattern is that the storm does not merely test the endurance of the soul, it shapes the very character required to handle the miracle when it arrives. Joseph's journey was not meant to be easy, it was meant to transform him. And the same is true for anyone who dares to trust that God's promises are bigger than their present pain. The storms in life are never random. They are intentional, crafted to reveal hidden strengths, refine intentions, and cultivate a perspective that could never emerge in the absence of struggle. When Job lost everything, he was left with nothing but grief, yet through the furnace of loss, he discovered a depth of faith that turned mourning into a testimony. The lesson here is profound. Loss is not necessarily defeat, and hardship is not a sign of abandonment. Often, it is the precursor to unimaginable blessing. Many believers, however, abandon their faith in these moments because they fail to see the invisible hand guiding them through the chaos. They see only the darkness, not the dawn that lies just beyond. But the truth is that God's timing is impeccable, and His purposes are perfect, even when our understanding is limited. Consider the analogy of a sculptor chiseling a block of marble. To the casual observer, the strikes of the hammer appear destructive, harsh, even unnecessary. Yet with each precise impact, the rough edges are removed, the shape begins to emerge, and eventually a masterpiece is revealed. So too with the storms in life, the pain, the setbacks, the betrayals, they are the hammer strikes shaping the vessel that will carry the blessing. The difficulty lies in enduring the strikes without losing hope, in trusting the process without immediate evidence, in believing that what God allows is not meant harm but to prepare. And herein lies the suspense that grips the heart. The miracle is always on the horizon, yet it often arrives in a form we do not recognize until the preparation is complete. It might come disguised as a delay, a disappointment, or a closed door, prompting the soul to wrestle with questions of worthiness and faith. But the delay isn't intentional, it is not denial, it is divine timing. Every storm carries with it an invisible curriculum, lessons in patience, humility, endurance, and reliance on God's wisdom rather than our own understanding. The challenge is to trust in what is unseen, to hold on to hope when circumstances scream otherwise, and to continue walking even when the path seems shrouded in darkness. Many fail at this stage because human nature is wired to seek immediate comfort, to escape discomfort rather than embrace it as a teacher. Yet those who persevere, who maintain their faith and integrity even in the pit, are the ones who will experience the fullness of their destiny. History is filled with stories of people who abandoned faith too early, who gave up just before the miracle, and who never lived to see the plan unfold. Conversely, those who trusted through the storm became vessels of purpose, leaders in their communities, and testaments to the power of divine timing. The spiritual truth embedded there is that God's positioning is always superior to human perception. The pit you are in today, the loss you feel, the betrayal that cuts deep, they are not signs that you are forgotten. On the contrary, they are signals that God is at work, aligning circumstances, preparing hearts, and orchestrating events that will culminate in a miracle uniquely designed for your life. The suspense is both terrifying and exhilarating. You are standing on the threshold of something extraordinary, yet the journey demands patience, resilience, and unwavering trust. Recognizing this truth transforms how we face adversity. We no longer see storms as obstacles, but as instruments of growth. We no longer view suffering as punishment, but as preparation, and we begin to understand that the very moments we wish to escape are the moments that will define our legacy, shape our character, and set the stage for a breakthrough so profound that every trial will be worth it. It is in the darkest nights, the deepest valleys, and the most isolating moments that faith is forged into unshakable strength. The miracle may not come in when we expect it, may not arrive in the form we anticipate, but when it comes, it will demonstrate the wisdom of God's timing and the necessity of the storm. To live without storms would be to live without growth, without depth, and without the testimony that inspires others. To hold on when they feel like giving up. Therefore, the storms are not merely a backdrop for the miracle. They are the crucible in which the miracle is birthed. Understanding this transforms despair into hope, fear into courage, and waiting into anticipation. Every tear, every setback, every moment of doubt is a thread in the fabric of the triumph that awaits. And when the miracle finally arrives, it does so with such power and clarity that the soul can no longer question the purpose of the storm. It is then that the believer understands what the scriptures reveal again and again. God is not punishing you, He is positioning you. It is often in the stillness of our struggle, in the moments when the world seems to have turned its back on us, that we encounter the profound reality of God's orchestration. The storm may rage around us, threatening to erode the hope, but it is precisely in that erosion that the foundation of faith is strengthened. Consider the analogy of a seed buried deep within the soil. From the surface, it appears lifeless, insignificant, forgotten, yet beneath the ground, it is undergoing transformation. Its roots push downward into darkness, absorbing nutrients, enduring pressure, developing resilience, all in preparation to break through the surface and blossom into something magnificent. So too is the believer who walks through hardship. The challenges you face today are not intended to crush you. They are preparing you for a breakthrough so significant that the life you knew before will pale in comparison. Many people fail to see the purpose of these struggles because they measure progress by comfort, not by character, by ease, not by endurance. When Joseph were by endurance. When Joseph was in prison, it would have been natural to question God's plan. He had been betrayed, sold by his brothers, stripped of freedom, and thrust into an environment where hope seemed futile. Yet, in the very same prison, God was positioning him, giving him wisdom to interpret dreams, insight to navigate relationships, and patience to wait for the precise moment when elevation would arrive. Every trial, no matter how harsh, is part of a divine curriculum designed to equip the soul for what lies ahead. The suspense of waiting is perhaps the most challenging aspect, for the human spirit naturally desires clarity and immediate results. When we cannot see the path, when answers remain hidden behind layers of uncertainty, fear and doubt creep in. But it is exactly in this space, the space of not knowing, that faith is tested, refined and strengthened. It is in the quiet moments, when no one sees, when the heart aches and the mind questions, that God shapes our perspective, aligning our will with His purpose. Many believers abandon their faith in this period because the storm feels too overwhelming, because the pain seems unending, and because the promise seems distant. Yet the key truth remains: God does not abandon His children. He is present in the pit. He is moving in the prison. He is guiding the steps we cannot yet see. Life's hardships are not random. They are precise instruments used to craft the resilience, wisdom, and perseverance necessary to handle the blessing that awaits. The suspense of the storm is essential. It heightens the moment of breakthrough, intensifies gratitude, and produces a testimony that inspires others who are still in the trial. Imagine the scene of a sculptor standing over a rough block of stone. Each strike of the hammer, each chip that falls away may appear destructive, yet each is necessary to reveal the form hidden within. Similarly, the blow, where endure in life might seem unfair, painful, or unnecessary, but they are carving us into vessels capable of carrying the miracle of God has prepared. Job's journey exemplifies this truth. Stripped of wealth, health, and family, he faced despair of a magnitude few could endure. Yet, through his trials, he discovered a depth of trust and understanding that could never have been achieved in comfort. When restoration came, it was not simply a return to what he had lost. It was an elevation to a level of insight, influence, and purpose far beyond what he had imagined. The storming had been a necessary passage, and the waiting, though agonizing, had prepared him for the fullness of his destiny. The same principle applies to every believer navigating their own storms. The pit, the betrayal, the loss, they are all chapters in the larger narrative of divine positioning. To perceive them otherwise is to misinterpret the purpose of hardship. Faith is not defined by the absence of struggle, but by the capacity to trust and remain steadfast through it. Those who surrender to despair before the miracle arrives rob themselves of the transformation that struggle imparts. They miss the opportunity to discover the strength, wisdom, and insight that only the storm can produce. And so, the suspense, the tension between suffering and expectation is not accidental. It is a deliberate feature of the process. It teaches patience, deepens reliance on God, and molds the character necessary to receive the breakthrough with humility, gratitude, and integrity. Without this period of suspense, the blessing may arrive, but the soul may not be prepared to steward it wisely. Many fail to recognize that the delay, the waiting, the trial is not a rejection but a preparation. God's timing is impeccable, even when human understanding is limited. The miracle often comes in a form that surprises, challenges, or exceeds all expectations precisely because it has been prepared under conditions that refine both character and perspective. To endure the storm is to invest in the outcome, to trust the process, and to embrace the unknown with the conviction that divine wisdom is at work. Every tear shed, every doubt questioned, every night spent wrestling with fear and uncertainty is part of a larger narrative, a narrative that will ultimately reveal God's faithfulness in a way that words alone cannot capture. Joseph's eventual rise from pit to palace, from prisoner to prime minister, exemplifies the pattern repeated throughout Scripture: hardship, waiting, and divine positioning precede triumph. The principle is timeless, transcending culture, circumstance, and generation. It is as true today as it was thousands of years ago. And while the suspense of waiting can feel unbearable, it is also the very space in which the soul learns to trust beyond sight, to hope beyond circumstance, and to persevere beyond human strength. Those who remain steadfast discover a depth of faith and clarity of purpose that cannot be acquired through comfort, ease, or immediate success. The storm is the proving ground, the crucible of character, the arena where true faith is forged. To understand this is to reframe life's trials from being obstacles to being essential components of a greater design. You are not lost in the storm. You are being prepared. You are not abandoned in your pain. You are being positioned. And the suspense, though challenging, is your invitation to trust, to persevere, and to anticipate the miracle of one's confidence and expectation. In essence, every storm contains within it a blueprint for your destiny. Every trial is a step toward elevation, and every period of waiting is a necessary prelude to triumph. When you grasp this truth, you begin to see life through a lens of faith rather than fear, hope rather than despair, and possibility rather than limitation. This perspective transforms suffering into purpose, delay into preparation, and waiting into anticipation. It allows you to hold on when giving up seems easier, to trust when clarity is absent, and to remain faithful when the world feels uncertain. And ultimately, it ensures that when the miracle arrives, you are ready to receive it with the wisdom, strength, and gratitude that the journey has cultivated within you. God is not punishing you. He is positioning you. And the storm, with all its suspense and challenge, is the divine mechanism by which your breakthrough is made possible. Now imagine, for a moment, that you are standing on the edge of everything you have prayed for, everything you have dreamed of, and everything you have worked toward. The storm that seemed endless begins to show signs of release. The darkness that felt permanent now reveals hints of dawn. This is the moment when understanding dawns, when clarity begins to pierce through the clouds of confusion and fear, and when the truth that God is not punishing you, but positioning you, becomes undeniable. All the nights of weeping, all the moments of self-doubt, all the frustrations and losses, converge into a single profound realization. Every trial you endure was part of a larger plan designed to prepare you for this very moment. The suspenses that once felt unbearable now transforms into anticipation, and the fear of uncertainty gives way to the exhilaration of divine timing. It is in this space, whose before the miracle manifests fully, that the depth of your faith is revealed, not in the ease of life, but in your capacity to endure, to persevere, and to trust when nothing seems certain. Every believer, no matter their background or circumstance, encounters this crucial passage: Joseph's journey from pit to palace, Job's restoration after an inimaginable, and countless other biblical accounts. Illustration, the same divine pattern. Hardship precedes blessing, delay precedes triumph. To miss this principle is to miss the miracle itself, for it is in the refinement that the soul gains the strength, wisdom, and perspective necessary to steward the blessing effectively. Imagine a diamond vein forming under extreme pressure. Without the immense force applied over time, there would be no transformation, no clarity, no brilliance. The pressure, though intense and at times painful, is what produces beauty that endures. Similarly, the storms of life, though uncomfortable and often overwhelming, are shaping the character and faith required for the miracle that awaits. Many fail at this stage, giving up hopes before their breakthrough, abandoning their dreams and faith because the pain seems too great. But those who hold on, who trust the unseen hand of God, will find that the very thing they longed for is arriving at the perfect time, in the perfect way, and with a clarity that could never have been achieved without the preparation. And when the breakthrough comes, it is not merely a reversal of circumstance, it is a transformation of life, a fulfillment of purpose, and a testimony of divine faithfulness. Consider the suspenses of waiting. It is both excruciating and necessary. Without the tension of expectation, the triumph would lose its meaning. Without this struggle, the miracle would not carry the depth of gratitude, wisdom, and understanding it was designed to impart. And so, the period of hardship is not punishment, nor is it a reflection of weakness or failure. It is preparation, it is alignment, and it is the essential crucible in which your destiny is forged. The story of Joseph reminds us that betrayal, injustice, and imprisonment did not define him. They refined him. They equipped him with the insight, humility, and patience required to navigate the palace and fulfill God's plan. Similarly, the storms in your life are not your end. They are the prelude to a story of triumph that will inspire generations, shape communities, and honor the faithfulness of God. When we see hardship through this lens, we begin to embrace life differently. We no longer despair in difficulty, for we recognize it as a tool of divine preparation. We no longer question the purpose of waiting, for we understand that delay does not mean denial. And we no longer fear the unknown, for we trust that the hand that positions the storm is the same hand that will guide us to the miracle. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of uncertainty carries within it a lesson designed to refine the heart, strengthen the spirit, and prepare the mind for the responsibility of blessing. And while the journey through the storm may feel long and arduous, the miracle that emerges is worth every tear, every sleepless night, and every moment of doubt. The suspense, the waiting, the struggle, they are essential elements of the story, essential components of the journey toward fulfillment. The miracle is never accidental. It is intentional, meticulously timed, and perfectly orchestrated to align with God's plan for your life. To embrace this truth is to live with courage, hope, and anticipation, even when circumstances seem contrary. It is to walk forward with faith, even when the path is unclear, and to trust that the storm, with all its chaos and challenge, is shaping you into a vessel worthy of the blessing to come. And when the moment arrives, when the doors open, when the breakthrough manifests, the joy is not only in the outcome but in the journey, the transformation that has occurred, the resilience that has been built, and the faith that has been strengthened. The storm is not to be feared, nor is the waiting to be despised. They are evidence of divine positioning, markers of a process that ensures the miracle will be met with readiness, wisdom, and gratitude. So, if you are in the midst of a storm today, if you are grappling with loss, betrayal, or delay, know this: you are not abandoned. You are being prepared. You are being positioned. Your breakthrough is closer than you realize, and the miracle awaiting you will reflect not only the promise of God, but the perseverance, faith, and character you cultivated in the storm. Hold on, stay faithful, and trust the process, for the miracle is coming. And when it arrives, it will surpass your expectations, illuminate your purpose, and testify to the enduring truth that God is always at work, even when we cannot see it. Remember, the storms of life are not random acts of chaos. They are deliberate, purposeful, and divine instruments designed to bring about the extraordinary. And as you stand on the other side of hardship, you will look back and realize that every trial was a step toward your miracle, every delay a lesson in patience, every hardship a preparation for greatness. God is not punishing you. He is positioning you, and the timing of your breakthrough is perfect, measured, and guided by infinite wisdom. So trust, persevere, and embrace the journey, for your miracle is coming, and it will be worth every storm you have endured.